All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're just live streaming onto YouTube right now. Type in exactly where you're watching us from today as we get the event underway. We will be live here in the Zoom room, but also you can send people directly to YouTube if you wish to the company channel. So off we go. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome online to today's session. My name's Michael Firth, one of the founding Field Advisory Board members and Crowns with Numi. I love this session because this is an opportunity to introduce you to our founder, Steve Scott. Now, with that in mind, some people do not speak English fluently, and as a result, I'm just going to play a quick video for you so you can understand we do have closed captions to read along to if you wish. So have a listen to this.
Untuk mengaktifkan terjemahan bahasa Indonesia, silakan klik caption di panel laptop atau handphone Anda semua.
Para poder obtener la traducción en español, es necesario hacer clic en el menú de Zoom y elegir la opción Subtítulos en español.
大家好，如果你想看字幕，请按屏幕底下的 CC 按钮，选择中文。此功能仅适用于直播。
Bonjour, bienvenue à cet événement Numi. Vous pouvez activer les sous-titres dans votre langue en cliquant sur Sous-titres au bas de l'écran. Veuillez noter que cette option fonctionne uniquement dans la salle Zoom en direct. Merci et bonne écoute.
大家好，如果你想看字幕，請按屏幕底下嘅 CC 按鈕選擇中文。呢個功能淨係適用於直播。
Alrighty, so what's really exciting is that Numi is in 69 different countries right now, having just lit the fuse and opened the doors for business in Indonesia. But we are right across the globe. So people have typed in that they're from, what do we got here? Canada, Indonesia, South Dakota, USA, Arizona, Florida, Canada again, Florida, Virginia, Perth, Western Australia, people coming in from all over the globe, which is fantastic. It's my pleasure to be your MC today to introduce our founder, Steve Scott. I'm lucky enough to have been a friend of Steve's now for about 16 years. I think it's nearly 17 now, Steve. And I met Steve when he'd moved on from the infomercial world. If you don't know, Steve was behind the Total Gym and many other TV infomercials, which were super successful, over $4 billion in sales. He then went on to market products in the glutathione space, where I met him 16 years ago when he was doing the research into that particular molecule. Today is amazing because you're going to get to hear from Steve about our HydraStat nano delivery breakthrough, which has taken the world by storm, but you're also going to understand one of the molecules that we choose to nano size called glutathione, and you'll come out of here and you'll know everything you've ever possibly needed to know. So with that, I'm going to hand you to my good friend, Steve Scott.
Thank you, Michael. And a little assignment for everybody tonight. There's two things you need to do. Is number one, go to the Numi website and look up the medical board. It's under About Us, and then it'll say Medical Advisory Board. I was talking with some members of the board, medical board today, and realize that these renowned doctors are not paid to be on our board. To my knowledge, it might not be true, but to my knowledge, we're the only company in the world that's a for-profit company that has an unpaid medical board. They all serve at no cost to us because they have used the product personally. They use it with their clients, and they have seen the amazing results. And so we had a neat board meeting today, and I got to hear more things that I hadn't heard before. It was really wonderful. And we've just got a great team. They're from some of the biggest or most prestigious institutions in the world: Harvard, Stanford, Mayo Clinic, Texas Heart Institute, Baylor Medical. What else? Let's see. Just a lot of them. And but these guys are not novices. They have all been in practice for years, some for decades. One created the pain management program for Harvard Medical School. Another was on the Stanford Heart Transplant team and ended up pioneering or developing with him and his teams that he ran over 200 therapies currently in use for heart disease and heart treatment, as well as cardiovascular disease and for cancer therapies. So these are no slouches, and yet they all serve on our advisory board for free. They are brilliant, they are committed, they are passionate, and they're passionate about our breakthrough. Our breakthrough is called HydraStat, our HydraStat nanotechnology. Now so one assignment was to look at those guys and practice getting there quick, because I'm telling you, it carries so much credibility with people who are considering us. I've even with doctors, I've had a doctor say, I had this happen one time where he said, let me see your studies. And my answer was, well, we are a supplement, not a medication, so we don't have studies like medications do. We are a topical spray as well that's over the counter. None of our ingredients have any side effects. They're all on the FDA GRAS list. And he says, yeah, but without studies, you really don't know what's happening. And I said, well, let me just show you a few of our doctors. Maybe you're right there with them. Here's the #1 heart surgeon to graduate from the #1 cardiovascular or cardiothoracic program in the United States at Texas Heart Institute, became the head of cardiovascular surgery at St. Luke's in Houston, and then went home to his islands of Philippines. You think he knows what he's doing? How about this guy from Stanford? How about these 3 guys from Harvard? How about this guy from the Mayo Clinic? And he just kept saying, wow, but you don't have studies. No, we're not a medicine. We are a supplement. And well, then how do you know it works? Why do you think these doctors are in this program? Why do you think we're now in 69 countries in less than 3 years? Because it does work. People experience the difference, and they can't stop talking about it. Usually that's all I have to say. And another thing I'll do this. I'll say, why don't you not get the product? Just keep treating your patients, but realize that because you don't have studies and numbers, you may just be depriving your patients of one of the greatest breakthroughs to come along in decades. And but it's totally up to you. Well, usually they kind of cave, they try it, and then they get on board. For some reason, my screen isn't full screen. I don't know what's wrong. But anyway, so we had a good discussion today. Aaron and I, or Ryan and I, got back from Mexico on, I don't even know what day, I think Sunday. That was just a week after we had gotten back from Indonesia and the Philippines. So that's about 17 time zones, 15 time zones. And that kind of messes with you a little bit, but I'm starting to be fine. What we have is something that nobody else in the world has. Now, a lot of people offer glutathione, and we're going to talk about glutathione today, but we're the only ones that have the HydraStat technology that allows us to nanosize in a very particular way that allows the product to do what it does. Now, I can't show you the medical pictures that people and doctors have shown me and that have sent to me, because we're not a medicine. We don't promote that in any way. I can show you what we do with the largest organ of your body, and that's the skin. Now, we all think of skin as dead tissue. Well, in reality, there's 23 layers of dead skin, very thin layers, that cover the dermal tissue. That's the living layer. Living layer. Well, I'll say that 10 times real fast. Living layer, living layer. And but all the beneficial action has to happen in the dermal tissue, the living tissue, not the dead tissue. And to get through the epidermis to the dermal tissue, you have to be very, very tiny. I mean, I've heard sizes of 10 nanometers or less. So I have had other glutathione products. I had a company that we had a product that specialized in the precursing rate limiting amino acid, cysteine, and upregulating that into the cell to increase the body's production of glutathione. And they were good products. They were really, really good products for their time. But what we have, one of our medical board members said, everybody else is selling a skateboard when it comes to glutathione, and you're selling a supersonic fighter. And the amazing thing is, you're selling the supersonic fighter for less money than they're selling the skateboards for. And I thought that was a really good word picture from my point of view. And we see things nobody else has seen. So if ever you hear of anybody that has another glutathione product, ask to see their unpaid medical board. See where that medical board comes from. It's usually 1 to 3 doctors. And then ask to see their before and afters. And they'll say, what do you mean before and afters? Well, let me show you some before and afters. And do you know we're seeing very, very significant improvement just from the supplement that works outward into the living tissue of the skin? We see things in the skin that are amazing just from the supplement. I just saw one when I was in Mexico. It was crazy. So, but we have a spray, and when you use the spray, you're going from the outside in, and when you use the supplement with every organ, you're going from the bloodstream into the cells, tissues, the organ, and as regarding skin, you're going from the inside out. In fact, people say, let me see your hands. And now they both look smooth. Why? I sprayed this one. I didn't spray that one, but I've been using glutathione. I've been using our swish now since 2018, before we even had it packaged. So just the swish by itself has made the skin smoother. But I want to show you these pictures, and we show you these pictures because the same glutathione action that is changing the way people look, it's getting into all the cells, all the tissues, all the organs, and it's doing very similar things throughout the body. So let's go ahead and look. Okay, this was the very first time we put it in a spray bottle and said, I sent it out to a small group and said, spray your face 5 times a day for 8 weeks. Well, this lady was 58. She was just about to turn 59. And she sprayed her face 5 times a day for 7 weeks. She couldn't wait the 8th week. She had to send it to me. Now, I've owned 5 cosmetic companies, and I loved hair care. You get great before and afters. I love skin care. Not skin care, makeup. We had great before and afters. But skin care, it's really hard to get good before and afters. And look at this. This came back. And as soon as I saw this, I knew we had the best skincare product in the world. Nothing else does this. In fact, I sent this to my former formulator, who was the president of the American Society of Cosmetic Chemists, but he had become head of R&D for the company that created Botox. And when he saw this picture, he instantly called me and said, Steve, I hate to tell you, she's had a facelift. I said, no, John, she hasn't. He said, there's no topical product in the world that can do that. Botox can't even do that. Look how much tighter and brighter her skin is. And I said, John, that's happening across the board. She's just the first picture I've sent you. And he said, well, how the heck are you doing it? And I gave him a couple hints, and he goes, wow, well, you have something nobody else has. So let's go ahead and go from here and see where we end up. Okay, this lady had, I can't tell you what her problem was. I know what it was, but I can't tell you. But I'll say she had that rash for 7 months. She started swishing, not even spraying. She swished for 3 days, just swished, and it went away. And guess what? She never not bought another bottle. And when the person that sold her gave her the bottle, said, "How come you're not buying after this incredible result?" She says, "Well, I'm young and I don't need it." Well, yes, she does. Everybody needs it. This was a 57-year-old, 58-year-old in Australia, a lot of sun damage to the skin. That was 6 weeks of spraying along with swishing. This one, I love this one because there was nothing wrong with her skin. She had a ruddy complexion. And ruddy just means red. She had a reddish complexion, but she sprayed and she got a peach. Look at her skin tone. Look at the evenness of it. Look at the smoothness. That was in 6 weeks. Now, having owned a makeup company, I can tell you what you work for with makeup. And we sold hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. We had millions of customers. You go for the peaches and cream look. And you can accomplish that with the right kind of makeup. It's still very difficult. There's no makeup there. There's just spray. And she probably swished. Next. Okay, look at the legs. No need for commentary there. Next. This lady is an esthetician in Miami, Florida. She said, "I can't wait 8 weeks. You got to see what happened after 8 days." She said, "Where did my pores go? Look how much smoother my skin is. Look at how much brighter. Look how it's opened up my eyes." She said, "Steve," well, actually, she said Steve and Ryan, because Ryan was on the phone. She said, "Nothing in the world does this. I've been in skincare my whole adult life. There is nothing that can do this except our product." Okay, here, I love this. These are the hands of an 85-year-old man in Toronto, Canada. And that was 40 days of spraying, and they no longer look like they're 80 years old. They look like they're about 30 years old. Next. This lady had several issues that I can't talk about, but the result was for, I think she said 12 years, she's had those dark circles. She swished and sprayed for 6 weeks. And not only did she start feeling a lot better physically, but also those dark circles went away. There you can see how much smoother her complexion is. Next. Okay, these were my hands. I also found a picture that I'm now showing after 12 weeks, but this was after spraying my right hand for 7 weeks and not spraying my left hand. And you can see it's a very big difference. Well, just swishing, because I stopped spraying 5 times a day, just swishing, now both hands are pretty smooth. And my feet, I've never sprayed my feet, but they're very, very, the skin is very soft. And I used to have skin that was like sandpaper on my feet. In fact, it was embarrassing. I tore sheets. Okay, there you can see the difference, peaches and cream in 4 weeks. This lady is in Australia, and she is a client of one of our Numi family members there. And she said, "I love what it's doing for my skin, but everybody keeps asking me how I lost my weight, and I didn't lose any weight. But my face is tighter and brighter, and they assumed that that was from weight loss." It wasn't. That was 4 weeks. Next. Okay, more legs, 6 days. You can already see the improvement. This lady is young, but once again, when they're young like this, she has no issues. A little bit of oiliness, but look at how even the skin tone is after 2 weeks. And yes, she did see a difference, and she kept using the product. Okay, that's 2 weeks. Next. 4 weeks, you can look at her neck especially, but you can also look at her face. Next. These are the legs of an 84-year-old. And she said, I'm an old lady. I have old lady legs, but not anymore. That's 10 weeks of spraying. This is only 7 days, but you can already see the change start as far as the evenness of the thing. I was 71 here. That was almost 5 years ago. And in fact, it was more than that. That's 2019. So yeah, 5 years ago. And you saw that. Now, this is one of my favorites because you see a facelift like our first before and after. It looks like a facelift after 1 month, but she's 60 years old. That's after 7 months. I found out, no, it was after 6 months, but we haven't changed the slide yet. But look at the difference. Now, we met her right after this picture was submitted. She came to Utah for one of our events, and I actually, not knowing it was the same lady, I thought she was probably 40, 42, 45, but certainly not 60. Next. Okay, there you can, I saw a product advertised on TV for crepey legs. Well, it was a lot more expensive than this. Anyway, look at that. So that's pretty good. Now, this lady I love too. And it wasn't 2 weeks. I found out it was 4 weeks. If you move in tight on that, Michael, if you can. See, Michael can. Okay. Look at the difference in her skin. Look at her neck and as well as her chin and face. Now, there's no plastic surgery that could do that, by the way. You cannot make those changes. That was in 4 weeks. We said, how many times a day did you spray? She said, I had a strategy. I had bottles all over the house, and anytime I passed one, I sprayed, and anytime I passed a swish bottle, I swished. So she said a lot more than I kept count of. But look at the results. Okay, there you can see the beginning. That's only 2 weeks, but look at the difference. This lady was a smoker, and I think she's like 62, but look at the difference in her neck. That's really hard to do. This lady's the mother of a doctor in Nigeria. Her daughter brought her the product, and melon production became much better, or melon management. That's what causes the blackness way up top in the upper hemisphere of her face. And the inflammation went way down. In 4 weeks. That was amazing. I think that's all. There we go. Okay, so what do we have? What can do that? Glutathione is the single most important molecule in life. It's just as important as oxygen. There'd be no life on Earth without it. No plants, trees, fish, birds, people, animals, puppy dogs, kitty cats. None of us would be on planet Earth without glutathione. It performs over 400 functions in the body. And many of those are critical for life. Several of those you take away and you're dead within minutes. For example, when your body makes hemoglobin, the red blood molecule, the purpose is to bind to oxygen. But here, let me get out of the sun a little bit. But it can't do it because it has the wrong electromagnetic charge. It has to be reduced to a +2, and that reduction takes place only when glutathione reduces it. Glutathione is the sole reduction agent of hemoglobin. So without glutathione, there'd be no oxygen transfer. You take the deep breath in, you'd fill your lungs, but the oxygen wouldn't go anywhere. So that's critically important. It is the sole protector of the immune system. Whenever there's a bacterial or viral insult, regardless of the bacteria, regardless of the virus, your immune system kicks into gear and it starts producing assassins to kill the virus or the bacteria. And the most important one, the one that does most of the work, is called the T cell, but there's also the B cells. And the bacteria and virus are reproducing rapidly, and the T cells, left unattended, tend to reproduce more slowly. So guess who wins, the bacteria or virus? Especially if you have lower glutathione levels. If you have higher glutathione levels, the T cells will reproduce much more rapidly and get things under control. There was an article that appeared in the May 2021 edition of the American Chemical Society's Journal of Infectious Diseases, and it was a study conducted and performed by a Russian scientist, and it's since been validated by quite a few others. The title of the article was "Low Levels of Endogenous Glutathione as the Cause of Severe Symptoms and Death in COVID-19 Patients." And he showed biochemically why low glutathione levels allowed these people to get so sick and die, or so sick and not fully recover, and we call those long haulers. And he related it, among other things, to the fact that with their low levels of glutathione, the T cells just can't reproduce. With the low levels of glutathione, the inflammation happens at a far more rapid rate. And in COVID patients, the real deadly inflammation was called the cytokine storm, and it took place in the lining of the lungs. And it would start, and man, it would just all of a sudden explode. and the T cells couldn't get control of it. They weren't being reproduced fast enough. On the other hand, people with high glutathione levels, which were mostly people under 20, they may have gotten sick, but not many of them died. A few with comorbidity factors died. But he didn't just simplify it. It's a very long article, lots of diagrams and everything, and it was an amazing article. You can look it up. Just if you Googled, the title of the article is Low Levels of Endogenous Glutathione or something like this, as the cause of severe symptoms and death in COVID-19 patients. It's the American Journal of Infectious Diseases. It's the Journal of Infectious Diseases. Okay, so what else does glutathione do besides make sure you get air and protects your immune system? It is the sole protector of the mitochondrial DNA. Why is that important? As long as the mitochondrial DNA in a cell remains intact, the cell can't mutate. When it's broken, the cell then is at risk for mutating and multiplying, and we know what that does. It's deadly, to say the least. And glutathione is the sole protector of the mitochondrial DNA, and it does it in two ways. First of all, what breaks the mitochondrial DNA most of the time is the chemical load in the cell. Everybody on this call has at least 200 industrial chemicals in your body, and they're not meant to be there. Well, it's the chemical load in the cell that typically breaks the mitochondrial DNA. Glutathione, on the other hand, it has a sulfhydryl molecule that's real sticky. It sticks to the chemicals, and it lowers the chemical load. What does that mean? It means it prolongs the integrity of the mitochondrial DNA so it doesn't get broken. The other thing it does is what we're going to talk about now, and that's with free radicals. Every cell in your body, and we have a slide that I've been using, but I didn't send those to Michael, so we don't have it. And I couldn't find Michael said, how about your phone? I couldn't find my phone. I looked feverishly for about 10 minutes and couldn't find it. But your cells are very complex organisms. Each cell in your body, you have about 50 trillion of them, are more complex, each one, than the most complex machine ever built by mankind, which is Saturn V rocket with its lunar lander and its lunar orbiter. And every cell in your body is more complex, more integrated systems, more communicating systems, more interdependent and synchronized systems than that Saturn rocket and its landers. Now, it took engineers, 35,000 engineers, 8 years to design and develop the Saturn V and its lunar system. Every cell in your body is more complex. So what breaks down the cells? Chemical toxins and free radicals. How do free radicals damage the cell? Well, they're scavengers, and they steal an electron from the cell. And when that happens, it creates too much oxygen for the cell to effectively manage. So we call it oxidative stress. That oxidative stress is our mortal enemy. It produces inflammation, and inflammation allows a lot of diseases to be multiplied and magnified in your body. Inflammation slows down the proliferation of T cells. Inflammation causes 80% of all heart attacks, about the same percentage of strokes, and it is our mortal enemy. Well, that inflammation is caused by oxidative stress. Now, we'll say, well, such and such was in an injury and it inflamed, or they got this illness, and it was the inflammation's what started a cascade that killed the person. But that's not quite accurate. The disease or injury causes the release of free radicals that create oxidative stress, and it's the oxidative stress that creates the inflammation. So glutathione is not an anti-inflammatory in the sense that it doesn't deal with inflammation the way anti-inflammatory pharmaceuticals do, which is they're more or less blockers of certain things, not the things, but of the receptors. What glutathione does, it's more like pulling the entire weed out by the root rather than just the top. It kills the source. It mitigates, not kills, it mitigates the source of the inflammation, which is oxidative stress. And what causes oxidative stress? It could be an illness, but when oxidative stress is produced, guess what else it does? It accelerates the aging of the cell. Doesn't matter if it's your eye cells, your ear cells, the cells that form your eardrum. It doesn't matter if it's kidney cells, brain cells, heart cells, you name it. They are all attacked by free radicals. The oxidative stress produces inflammation in all of those. Okay, so every cell in your body, all 50 trillion, are attacked 10 to 20,000 times a day by free radicals. The way an antioxidant works is an antioxidant donates one of its electrons to the cell or to the free radical. And when that donation takes place, it sequesters or captures it and neutralizes it. Okay, so it can't harm the cell. Very cool. What's the problem? There is a spectrum of free radicals, different sources, different structures, different chemical compositions. For example, most of the free radicals in our body come from oxygen. They're oxygen sourced. Some are sourced from the hydrogen in our body, and some are sourced from nitrogen. Now, the real problem is all antioxidants except glutathione are monofocused. So vitamin C can take out that type right there, but it can't take out any of these. Vitamin E can take out that one, but not all of these. Superoxide dismutase, none of these. Now, there's a product on the market that goes out and boasts it raises the catalase, it puts catalase and superoxide dismutase in the cells, which are antioxidants. And you know, they rave about things and they do all this stuff. Well, guess what? Comparing those to glutathione is like comparing a shot put to Mount Everest. Not in the same league. They're monofocused. They can't handle everything. They each can only handle one type. Now, today we have even more deadly free radicals than our parents and grandparents had to deal with. Every time you pass a cell tower or use your cell telephone, you have microwave emissions coming into your body. That would be okay, except they're strong enough from 5G to actually get in and interact with the nitrogen in your body, which produces a terrible free radical called peroxynitrite, not nitrate, nitrite. It lives 1 billion times longer than any oxygen-based free radical. It can transfer from one cell to another. We don't know of any other ones that can. And it directly attacks the DNA of the cell. Not good. Thankfully, glutathione to the rescue. Glutathione can handle all free radicals, including peroxynitrite. So what's the problem? Well, our glutathione levels are declining as we age pretty significantly. It's been said 8 to 15% per decade. Glutathione production and utilization. I guess you probably have to put those together. And like I say, it's produced by every cell in your body, but your body can't produce enough as you age. And as it starts to decline at the age of 20, it opens the gateway to all the diseases of aging, which are all the ones we are the most afraid of: neurological diseases, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, all of those. There's a great article in the 2009. It's titled this, if you want to write it down, it's titled Glutathione Dysregulation. I know that's a long word, dysregulation. You can sound it out. Glutathione dysregulation and the etiology, that means the beginning of, and progression of human diseases. In other words, it's saying it's the decline of glutathione causes the onset and progression of human diseases. And it is an incredible article. It links low glutathione levels to just about every disease state you'd ever worry about. In fact, Dr. Mehmet Oz, the Harvard heart surgeon that had his own TV show, among other things, opened a show saying, glutathione, it's the most important antioxidant you've never heard of. It's what helps protect you from the diseases you fear the most. And so accelerated aging and inflammation are caused by oxidative stress. The single most important antioxidant for dealing with oxidative stress is glutathione. Now, glutathione is a miracle molecule because it recycles itself. You see, antioxidants, they have one electron to donate. They donate it, that neutralizes the free radical, and now there's no longer any antioxidant value in that. So vitamin C, it's done. Vitamin A, catalase, superoxide dismutase, okay? Now, glutathione, same thing, it donates an electron, but it recycles itself and manufactures another electron and donates that and another one. That's, science says, miracle. It recycles itself. It's like a gun that fires off its last bullet and then makes a new one. Now, the other thing about glutathione that makes it so awesome is it is the recycling agent for vitamin C and vitamin E. Vitamin C and vitamin E can be recycled 3 to 5 times. And the recycling agent, the thing that does all the work that makes the recycling possible, is glutathione. So glutathione is just, it's the first line of defense in the cell. You can take all the other antioxidants combined, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A, CoQ10, superoxide dismutase, catalase, and put them all together, and glutathione is still far more powerful and far more effective and universally effective when it comes to free radicals than all of those combined. So, you know what? And also, do you know if your glutathione levels are too low, they won't even let vitamin C into your cell. It'll shut the door. Now, if you have enough, it opens the door. And if you have even more, it will recycle vitamin C and vitamin E. But if you don't have enough glutathione, it will still recycle itself, but it won't recycle vitamin E and vitamin C. So glutathione in our cells, we need to do what we can. So why don't we all go out and buy glutathione capsules? The answer is it's a fragile molecule, and as soon as it hits the gut, it breaks. Now, I know there's patches out there that say they increase glutathione levels in the blood. Let me tell you what a world-renowned scientist told me. He said, it's not what's in the blood that counts. Yes, you have to go through the blood, but it's what gets into the cell and is effectively utilized by the cell that it counts. And that's where we beat everybody else on the block, including IV glutathione. There's a doctor in Miami, Florida. He's a plastic surgeon. He performs surgery. I'm going to go over here so I don't have the sun in my eyes. He performs plastic surgery 14 hours a day, 5 days a week, and he was on 3 glutathione IVs a week at a cost of $900 a week for years. He said he needed it for his mental focus and his physical stamina. Well, guess what? Somebody told him about our product. Now, he was paying $900 a week for what he had. The thought that he could buy something for $30 a month, or if he used it 3 or 4 times during the day, multiply that by 3 or 4 times. It sounded too good to be true, but he went cold turkey off of the IV, started on our product, and he said instead of going down in his endurance and going down in his mental focus and stamina, everything went up. He never went back to IV. In fact, he got so excited about it, about 6 weeks after he got on the product, he had his friend call me and say, can you come to Miami, Florida? I'll have doctors and surgeons in my office that I'm going to tell my friends, that aren't in my practice. And so you can explain the science. I said, sure. So I went out there. He had 42 doctors in his office. Now, he really didn't need me because his wife, who manages the office, his office, and his head nurse, their testimonies blew everybody away. Then he gave his testimony, and then I told the science, why it works, why it beats IV glutathione, in my opinion, and in the opinion of this doctor. And so with that, they all ended up buying the product and going on the product. We've had tremendous results with athletes. It's 6:40. I'm going to go 4 more minutes. I knew when we developed the product, if it was everything I thought it would make a huge difference in athletic performance. It would increase muscle output. It would increase mental focus. It would increase physical stamina, and it would accelerate recovery. So I gave it to an endurance athlete. He called me the next day. He said, Steve, this is the most incredible breakthrough ever. And he told me why he thought that. And so I sent it to another athlete, a friend of mine, who was a strength and conditioning coach for an NFL football team, Seattle Seahawks. And then he went to Liberty University, his alma mater. But he's been a professional an amateur weightlifter his entire life since he was 14. And Michael, do you have the copy of the chart after this? Let's see if you have the chart.
No, but I'll search and see if I had it from Indonesia while you're talking.
Okay. So Bill, when he was 49 years old in 2008, he broke the world record. He bench pressed 804 pounds. Then I called him 10 years later in 2018. And I said, how you doing? And he was pretty discouraged. He said, everything's okay here at Liberty University, but I'm not doing that well in my weightlifting. I said, what's going on? He says, well, a lifetime of weightlifting has resulted in inflammation. I wake up hurting. I hurt all day, and I go to bed hurting. I don't sleep well. I don't get a lot of sleep. And my days when we're in training are 12 to 16. Okay, somebody's got to get muted. And I used to lift heavy. My recovery is so slow. I can only lift heavy once a week. I used to lift heavy 4 times a week. And my bench press is down to 725. And I said, well, at 59 years old, that's a lot of weight. He says, yeah, it's a world record, but I don't get to compete with the elite guys anymore. And he said, that's what I missed. I said, well, I think things are going to change. Now, if we have the chart, we can show it. And if we don't have it, we won't worry about it.
You do not. Sorry, buddy.
No, that's okay. So he started using Swish. I told him how to use it. And in the next 6 months, as a 59-year-old, his bench press went to a new world record of 915 pounds. Then in the next year, as a 60-year-old, he went to 1,050 pounds, a new world record. At 62 in 2022, his retirement meet, he bench pressed a new world record, 1,129 pounds. Okay, you can come back to me. Okay, so let's look at it. He peaked at 49 in 2008, benching 804. In 2022, at 62, he benches 1,129 pounds, 40% more weight than he benched when he was in his prime and at 43. How can that happen? How can it happen? How could he go back to heavy lifting 4 times a week? How could his recovery rate be so fast that instead of sets and reps of 400 pounds, he went to sets and reps of 700 pounds? The answer is oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is our mortal enemy in every fashion. And when we can reduce oxidative stress by increasing the glutathione utilization in the cells, everything gets better, not worse. And I know nobody on this phone is necessarily a weightlifter, but everybody on this phone, on this call, has to perform every day. Like it or not, you have to get out of bed. You have to go through your day. You have to do certain things. You either do them well or you do them not well. You do them badly, or you do them terribly, or you do them incredibly well. How you go through your day physically, mentally, emotionally, it all relates to glutathione. People say, well, I wonder if I need this. Hey, you want to know something? Start trying it and you'll see. Try it for 8 weeks and guess what? Go off of it and you'll think, what the heck has happened to me? You'll feel like a wet wash rag. It's not energy, for example, that spikes and crashes. You never feel it. One of the doctors called it stealth energy, energy that's just there to get you through everything you need to get through mentally and physically. doesn't spike, doesn't crash, doesn't keep you awake. I take it twice a day. I'll be 76 years old. I now take it in the morning, and I take it before I go to bed. And there's a reason I do that. Your body repairs itself overnight, and it really needs glutathione to maximize that repair. So now, recently, I started taking it at night, and I absolutely love it. I even sleep better. Tomorrow, I'm going to be working out, strength training on my total gym. I will take it. Not only do I take it when I wake up, I'll take it 5 minutes before the exercise, because you go through your workouts. It's a lot easier and you recover a lot faster. I think that's all we're going to talk about tonight. You've been on the phone and very patient for 46 minutes. Thank you. We're here until the 1st of July. We are doing a call every day, Eastern time at 4 p.m. And then a weekly call. We do a morning call once a week on Tuesdays, and then every Thursday night. We'll be back here next week. We do this for two reasons. One, to keep you all connected, but number two, to be a place where you can bring people that are interested in the product and but haven't had a chance to really learn about it. And we try to teach a little bit on this. So we hope you'll come back. And thank you all for coming. It's so good to see so many of our Numi family. And Michael, back to you, bud.
Beautiful. Thank you, Steve. Now, ladies and gentlemen, right now, if you're on this call going, man, I wish I had someone else see that. Good news is everything we do now is live streamed onto the YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube, type in the word Numi, find the Numi official channel. Right now, we are live streaming this, and you can share it with anybody. That happens with all the events now. So the central place will always be the YouTube channel, as well as the Facebook groups. And if you're online right now and you want to see magnificent before and after photographs, go into Numi New You. That's the official channel on YouTube.